In this video, you will learn how to use AI to analyze your competitors, their images, listings, reviews, and how to outperform them while you're selling your Amazon products on Amazon marketplaces. In this session, we'll have two great guests, two AI specialists, Amy Weiss and Anthony Lee. And before I introduce our guests, I wanted to mention that this session is sponsored by two great companies. The first one is Getida. They help with Amazon FBA and auditing and reimbursements, so they can help you to get money back from Amazon. Amazon usually owes money if you're selling on Amazon, so check them out. They will help you to audit your account and will show you what you are missing and what Amazon owes you. So you will find the link below in the description. And the second company is VAA Philippines. They help with virtual assistant services for e-commerce sellers, Amazon, Walmart, whatever you do on e-commerce, you might find a help in their professional pool. And they can help with social media, with PPC, with whatever you want. So yeah, check them out. You will find the link and the special offer from VAA Philippines in the description below. And also I wanted to mention that recently our YouTube channel got 20,000 subscribers, and that's the reason we're celebrating with a SellerFest Online virtual summit. And this session is part of the SellerFest Online event. So please subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. And I think we're ready for our guests. Hello, Amy and Anthony.
Hi.
Hello.
So it's nice to have you here. And today we'll be talking about AI and artificial intelligence. And yeah, I think we can just jump. I know, let's introduce shortly. I know you will be presenting together. So Amy, a few words about what you do. How do you help?
Hey everybody, I'm Amy Weiss. I'm a seller. I've been selling on Amazon since 2007. I sell on Amazon, TikTok, and many other channels. And I'm also a service provider. So, I'm a consultant and I help people on the path from concept to launch of products. And I also have a few trade shows around the world. One is Evo Latam, the only multi-category trade show in Latin America. And I have one in Jordan as well, Sell and Source MENA. So happy to be here and be sharing our knowledge of AI and how Anthony and I use this in our day-to-day.
Evo Latam in Mexico was 2 years in a row, but I think you missed this year, right? 2024.
Yep, we'll be back in February.
Cool. I was afraid it's finished. Okay, good to go. Good to hear. Okay, Anthony.
Hello, I am Anthony Lee. Once upon a time, I sold on Amazon for a little while, and my primary, track in that path was learning about the algorithm. That transitioned into creating chatbots that helped people with ranking their products. And then that turned into more of a focus on AI. So now I, for the most part, help sellers, companies, brands kind of integrate AI in their systems, automations. I call them intelligent automations, just any workflow where you would normally need human hours, but would like to replace those monotonous hours with AI. And that's me.
AI for IA, artificial intelligence for automation.
Intelligent automation. Yep.
Intelligent automation. Yeah. All right. Good. So yeah, we are ready for your content. And while you are preparing to share the screen, I wanted to mention that during the session, if you have any questions, type them in the live chat. If you're watching live, if you're watching the replay, leave them in the comment section below. And if at any time you enjoy what you hear, don't forget to click like below in the description below the video. All right, so what is your screen? Let me pull to the stage.
All right. Hopefully you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it. The ultimate competitive analysis.
Yes. So as you guys saw from the title of this session, we are doing an AI-driven competitor analysis for Amazon. And, Anthony and I have both been using AI for different reasons and different ways for competitive analysis. So it was really fun to come together and, combine our methods into one big method. And that's why we call it the ultimate, because it's like everything combined into one. And I'm actually excited about the results that, we've been getting. We did a dry run of this, and, I'm actually considering, Anthony encouraged me to use a product that, to think of a product for this example that I'd actually think about launching. And some of you know that I'm very big in health and wellness. And next year I plan on starting a health and wellness brand around women's health. And I'm very excited about that. So Anthony encouraged me, Amy, pick a product that you would maybe consider launching, and let's do a competitive analysis on that. So you guys will get to peek behind the curtain on something that I've been thinking about today, and see us actually do this competitive analysis. So our agenda, what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to show you how to utilize artificial intelligence to review your top competitors' images, listings, and reviews in order to dominate the competition. So we'll be looking at a few different things, including sentiment, different phrases and themes, demographics of the buyer, buyer motivation, what makes them want to buy, differentiation. So things you could do different to that product to make it better based on all of these things. And then we will look at what images we should use in the listing. Wouldn't it be helpful if you actually had AI tell you what images you should be using? And then also what text you should be using based on all of this awesome data that we've garnered during the competitive analysis. So we're excited to show you guys this today. So now we're going to get into a live demo of us actually running this competitive analysis. The tools we're going to use are ChatGPT and a free Helium 10 Chrome extension. It's called Review Insights. It's within the Helium 10 Chrome extension. And then we're also going to be using a prompts document. Now, don't worry about the prompts document, taking a bunch of screenshots, all of that, because at the end, we're going to give you a QR code where you can just have the prompts. So don't worry about that, and just enjoy the demo. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give you guys a background in this product. So I've decided to create a creatine for women. And this is a keyword that's quite popular, and there is not really any creatine on the market that is specifically targeted to the woman that I want to target. It's mostly targeted to women who are looking for, building their glutes, stuff like that. There's a few creatine powders, but not for an older woman, the demographic I'm specifically targeting with the creatine powder that I intend to develop. I also, these are the top 3 competitors on Amazon. We've got this NutriCost one. And for the keyword creatine for women, these are the top competitors. And you can see none of them are actually labeled for women. So we've got, 2 by On and NutriCost. And then Thorn is the one that I actually want to kind of compete with because they're higher end. They're at a $42 price point as compared to, the lower cost On and NutriCost. So I really want to stay at the higher cost, but they are consistently in the top 5, even at the higher cost. So this is kind of what I'm looking at. And I went into Amazon's brand analytics to just see, the top competitors for that keyword creatine for women. I didn't just pick those out of a hat, right? I let Amazon's brand analytics tell me. And so we have all of these listings up. This is the number 1 competitor. This is our number 2 competitor. And then this is our consistently 3 to 5, ranked 3 to 5 that we really want to compete with. So how do we actually do this, right? How do we get into this demo and do this? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prompt ChatGPT to look at our competitors and analyze them. So you can see our first prompt here. I'm giving ChatGPT some context. You always want to give AI context. What are you trying to do, right? Give it background. Don't just say, oh, review these competitors. Say, hey, I have a health and wellness supplements company. I want to launch a new product, creatine for women. I want to develop a creatine powder specifically targeted at women. This is a higher end powder, and I plan to add a few more ingredients to the formula that are beneficial for women. This is quite a competitive category. I'd like to give you the top 3 competitors' listings and images for you to analyze. And then I want you to complete a thorough competitive analysis and explain what I can do with 1, my images, and 2, my listing text to better showcase my product and beat my competitors and help customers choose my product instead. Are you ready? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to just copy and paste this prompt into ChatGPT. And so here I am. And today we're going to use model 4.0, which is the latest model. And you do need a pro account for this. And the last time Anthony and I ran this, we did model 4. So we'll see what the difference is. So we can see ChatGPT comes back and it says, please provide the top 3 competitors' listings and images. So it understands exactly what I told it. I'm looking for that feedback. And that's why I asked it at the very end of the prompt, are you ready? I love doing that with my
Amy, could you make a zoom into the browser window with Control Plus? Maybe we will see like text bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Okay.
You know, they say you learn something new every day, and I actually didn't know you could do that. So I'm super excited. That was my takeaway right here.
With a zooming in?
Control Plus, yes. I had no idea you could do
if
that.
you click Control 0, it will go back to default.
Oh,
Control
that's so
Good
awesome.
to know. I'm going to write that down for later when I forget. I'm like, how do I get this window back?
You can, teach others another webinar.
So, and I'll also just make these a little bit bigger as well.
Yeah.
So the next thing, we have this document kind of, outlined with user inputs and prompts. So the next thing we did is we pulled these ahead of time, but you guys could always pull them, at the time that you're running these prompts. But the first input is this, competitor here. And so I'm just going to copy and paste this in. And the reason that I'm not copying and pasting the Amazon link is because unfortunately ChatGPT sucks at reading Amazon listing links. It's okay at other websites, but it's just not good with Amazon links. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and come in here and just copy and paste. So I have this brought up, and I'm going to just copy and paste it right into ChatGPT. So
my guess is that probably Amazon pushes their bot challenge to ChatGPT, and that's why they cannot read, because Amazon
that could be it.
Doesn't like scraping or automated readings. Yeah.
So this is something that you can very easily do. And then another little hack for you guys is you can actually just copy and paste the images right into ChatGPT. So you just do a little Control-C, Control-V, or if you're on a Mac, I believe it's Command-C, Command-V. But we're going to copy and paste the images in too, because AI does a really good job of looking at images. And we want to be competitive in our images. And we're about to ask ChatGPT to tell us what we can do better with our images to beat our competitors. So it's very easy. You can see just to copy and paste these images in here. And then something else that I do often is I'll just go as well. I'll go down the page, because a lot of times these guys do a much better job at their A+ content than they do. You can see these images are actually terrible, right? So if we go down here to A+ content, it's a little bit better, right? So you can do the same thing, just copy the image and paste it here. And ChatGPT does have a limit. I forgot what the limit is.
We'll find out.
Yeah, exactly, of how many images.
I wanted a side note. A
Yeah.
slight correction. You said AI is really good at reading images. Not all AI is really good at computer vision. I use a lot of models. I just want everybody to know GPT-4 Vision is my favorite for actually, because I've tested a ton of them. GPT, like I don't really use GPT for a lot of stuff, but GPT-4 Vision is absolutely my go-to for vision reading images. So
Awesome. GPT-4 Vision. So please wait. I'm going to give it a prompt to say, please wait for me to provide the next competitors before conducting an analysis. So because sometimes ChatGPT jumps ahead. So I always give it this prompt. It'll start doing the competitive analysis and then you have to click the stop button and you're like, wait, stop. So you can see it's taking time to look through all the images. It's taking time to read the listing. And you can see my little prompt at the end. Please wait. Great. I have the information. Please provide the listings and images for the other two competitors. So I'm just going to come back over here and I'm going to put in the second competitor. And this time we'll go a little bit faster since, we've done a lot of explaining prior to this and you guys are like, I don't need to see you copying and pasting everything, right? But you can see how easy it is to just copy and paste, especially if you get back that, the link can't be read. I know a lot of people run into that issue and then they kind of give up on it. So we don't want to do that. So, and then if some of these images are just terrible and they don't really provide any information about the product, you can also like skip them and just, copy and paste in the images that make sense for you.
And it's interesting to note that ChatGPT doesn't care about formatting. You are just copy pasting everything in one line, basically, right? Like,
yep.
Yeah.
It does care about formatting when it comes to your prompts. Like if you don't format your prompts in the correct order or the correct way, sometimes you won't get the best results. But when it comes to just providing competitor information, I've noticed that it's still very, very accurate, even if you do that. Yeah.
And Anthony, while Amy is preparing, Bianca is asking, how about Copilot? So Copilot is by which company? Microsoft, right?
Their engine is GPT, so they should be using GPT-4 Vision for their reading of images as well, because that's Microsoft uses GPT. When I say GPT-4 Vision, I don't necessarily mean the ChatGPT interface versus another interface. GPT-4 Vision is, in my opinion, the best image, computer vision, AI tool language, LLM compared to like Claude, compared to Llama products, compared to, if you go and Replicate, there's like a couple other ones that do computer vision, but GPT-4V has consistently been able to accurately tell me what is in an image. So it does tagging really well.
So kind of ChatGPT and Copilot are using the same, let's say, algorithm in the backend for processing.
So now it's asked me for the third competitor. So I'm just going to continue through this process.
Okay. So while Amy is busy, we have another question. If you are doing this through API key, so probably like if you are feeding all this information through API, which model would you use? Which can do a great job at image and text both? Given that chat has a lot of optimizations built in, could you also give pathway on API? So this is what I think Anthony's specialty.
We're actually going to touch on that towards the end of this presentation, but everything that we're doing here can absolutely be done through the API. All of the capabilities are available through the API, so you can actually still use GPT-4o, you can actually still use GPT-4 Vision. What's interesting is you actually have more capabilities through the API because you have the ability to also control things like temperature, which you really don't have any input on those parameters in the chat interface. But through the API, you'll be able to like tell it how seriously to follow your prompting.
So when you say temperature is like what language tone, like what kind of?
No, temperature. So temperature is a setting. There's a bunch of settings, right? But the main one that I use or that I tell people about is temperature, because temperature is the setting that tells the AI how literally to follow your prompt, right? So if it's a low temperature, it's going to follow your prompt incredibly literally. and there won't be a whole lot of reasoning or creativity on the AI end, right? So if you tell it, list these things, and you set the temperature to like 0.2, all it's going to do is list those things. But the higher the temperature, the more it uses its brain, and it's a little bit more creative, and it'll give you a more robust answer. And that's a really powerful setting that you want to use and take advantage of when you're using the API.
Mm-hmm. And Arun has, what's the ideal temperature for 4.0?
It depends on what you want it to do. So if you are having it analyze, I usually use about 0.9, but if you, or sorry, 0.8. But if you want it to write, I jump between like 0.75 and 0.9 for the most part, depending on whether or not I want it to generate like awesome copy, or whether or not I just want it to listen to what I'm saying.
Okay, thank
so
you.
now we have some results from our competitive analysis. We've thrown all 3 competitors into there, and I added at the end kind of just a reminder for it to complete the thorough competitive analysis. And I don't know if you guys noticed while I was copying and pasting in Thorns, but they did such a better job of calling out how to use the product and all of its benefits than any of the other competitors. So there's a reason that they can compete at a higher price. They also did a better job of showing their authority in the space, right? But so you can see they show how to use for muscle benefits, for brain benefits. You don't see that on any of the other competitors' pages. And, you know, they emphasize that they're the most trusted name in personalized scientific wellness. I mean, they're showing their authority in the space. And so, you know, that's when you're looking at being able to charge a higher price for something, you want to look at what that competitor is doing and show in your, when you do that, you want to be able to focus on those things. So that's a great thing to ask AI to focus in on, right? And I told it, you know, pay attention. I'm trying to compete with Thorn, right? So we can see it's done a competitive analysis overall of each competitor. So NutriCost, it's saying, you know, the images are clean and straightforward. There's an emphasis on quality assurance and third-party testing. The visuals show the product usage and benefit in a fitness context, multiple flavor options. Then it shows, you know, in their listing text, what they've included. Then we've got competitor number 2, what they're doing, you know, and they're even pointing out a professional and modern label design with an emphasis on authenticity. So we're really pulling out the key things from each competitor, and we might not, you know, with our eye, we might not pull these things out. So that's what's great about having AI do this for us, because it's really summarizing. It's looking at not just the text in the listing, but the images as well. And it's really summarizing, you know, what is important from each competitor. So, you know, it like in the listing text, they're emphasizing the micronized form for better absorption. And then competitor 3, Thorn, you know, it says emphasis on quality and trusted brand image with partnerships and certifications, detailed usage instructions and benefits highlighted in the images. And you didn't see that in the other competitors, right? So now it's giving recommendations for my product. So the label design, it says, you know, create a clean and appealing label that clearly mentions the benefits and key features, include a quality assurance badge and third-party testing certification, visual appeal, use high quality images that showcase the product in use, informational graphics, incorporate images that break down supplement facts and usage instructions in an easy to understand manner, and lifestyle images. And it's even given me the listing here. It's written the listing, it's given some bullet point options here, and it's talked about what to put in the description. Now, if I wanted to, I could take this even further. I could say, okay, write the listing for me, or focus on Thorn and that I'm creating a creatine powder for women, and you know, create a listing based on that. But now, instead of doing that, we're going to actually move forward with what Anthony does best. And Anthony, why don't you, while I'm setting this up, why don't you talk a little bit about what we're about to do?
Sure thing. So this portion is where we do kind of a customer analysis, and this requires reviews. So really quick, I'm actually going to show. I'm going to take over the screen share so I can show, just for the people who are unaware, how to do this. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. I'm just going to do entire screen. I'm terrible at figuring this out.
Yeah,
But
meanwhile, while Anthony is preparing his slide, his screen to share, I wanted to mention that don't forget to leave your questions in the comment section below if you're watching replay, if you're watching live stream, leave them in the chat, and we will address those questions later. And also, if you enjoy what you are seeing, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Okay, we see already Anthony's screen. Perfect.
yeah, so just there's a bunch of people that already know how to do this, but just in case you don't, you would go to helium10.com, download the free Chrome extension. You're going to have to sign up for an account. It's free, just the free tier, so that you can have this little thing right here, this little Chrome extension. Then when you go to a listing, so here I'm on Thorne's listing, all you do is you click on the Helium 10 icon, scroll down to Review Insights, and then you're going to see this. It's going to take a little while to populate. It brings up all of the reviews. You could do some analysis here if you wanted to, but that's not necessarily necessary. Literally, you just go here and click Export Table. And what that's going to do is it's going to export a CSV. And that is what we are going to input into as a file into ChatGPT. So that's just a really quick, that's how you get the reviews. And now to kind of explain what we're about to do with those reviews, customer insights are incredibly valuable because customers will reveal things in their review. You know, they'll say things like, I used this for when I was on my weight loss journey or whatever, and I lost 20 pounds, right? That's really valuable insights. Or somebody that says, you know, I used this product and it tasted really bad. All of these are just little insights, not just on how the customers feel, but also how and why they're using the product, how it fits inside of their life and their lifestyle. And when you grab a few hundred of these, that is incredibly valuable data for an AI to analyze and utilize to kind of fill in the gaps and create a more robust picture of, you know, the information you're trying to extract from it. So that's how you download those reviews, and then we're going to feed that into the same chat instance in that conversation with ChatGPT.
Yeah, so now what we're doing is we're getting into this review analysis. So we're going to read this prompt to you that we're about to put into ChatGPT. We're telling it, now act as a market research analyst. You analyze customer reviews and assess their language and sentiment. So this is something you can do when you're prompting AI. You can tell it to act as a certain persona, as a certain expert. And then you can also give it a job description. So not only have we said act as a market research analyst, we've said you analyze, we've told it its job. You analyze customer reviews and assess their language and sentiment. You also assist market research by building customer avatars and extracting demographic and psychographic data. Attached is a list of competitor reviews for the top 2 ranked competitors, NutriCross and Optimum Nutrition. These are the top 2 ranked for the keyword creatine for women. These products are not specifically designed for women, however. Both sell for around $20 and generate a ton of sales. Please analyze the reviews and await further instruction. So I'm going to copy and paste this prompt, and then I'm also going to attach the reviews. So let's see, upload.
And we're doing them separately because we wanted, while she's doing that, I'll explain. We wanted GPT to understand These two competitors are the top two ranked. This third competitor isn't necessarily the third ranked, but it is, for separate context, we want to emulate it for different reasons and kind of point out the premium pricing. And it was just a way to kind of separate the two, but still have the same body of data for GPT to analyze.
So I'm uploading both spreadsheets for both competitors since the prompt includes both. And let's go ahead and feed that in. Ooh, okay, unable to display visualization. I guess we'll see how that works. So we've asked it to analyze the reviews and await further instructions, and it is currently analyzing. So we'll see what it comes up with.
Okay, so we'll take a question from Aaron. It's more for Anthony. Aaron was asking about temperature, and he was talking about 0.3, 0.4. So Anthony, Aaron is saying at 0.8, don't you face hallucinations or on a higher degree? Do you have a check built in for hallucinations?
So again, we're referring to API usage and parameters. Higher temperatures make the AI more creative and therefore can lead to hallucinations. But in my workflows, I provide an absurd amount of context, and that is how you combat hallucination. I don't suffer from hallucinations or my workflows don't, because there's too much context. I take full use of the incredibly large context windows in an effort to ensure that the AI has all the available information. Because the only reason that it hallucinates is when it is asked to answer a question that it doesn't know the answer to.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
I just want to make sure we have time. I mean, because a lot of
we have time. I mean, yeah, we
API questions, so they might. But Anthony's going to touch on that at the end, so we'd be good to answer those questions. So analysis of customer reviews. So it's given some positive sentiment. It's looked at all the reviews we uploaded, and it's given some positive sentiment and some negative sentiment. So we can see positive sentiment. They appreciate the accuracy of the scoop and the product's effectiveness in improving workout performance and muscle growth. One of the negatives, I'm not going to read all of them. One of the negative sentiments, a few customers mentioned issues with the packaging and the scoop size inconsistency. And some reviews indicate the product didn't mix well with water. So if I'm going to develop a product, I want to make sure that it mixes well, right? Some common themes. Many customers report noticeable improvements in their strength and muscle growth. They see value. Customers mention the product is a good value for the price, so that's important. Packaging and scoop, scoop size accuracy and packaging quality. And then we've got demographics and psychographics. So it's primarily fitness enthusiasts and athletes. It's good to know, target demographics, including older adults maintaining their fitness levels. Hey, wouldn't you know, that's who I'm targeting with my creatine for women. Isn't it interesting that all of these images and stuff that they're targeting, they're not targeting those older adults. So that presents an opportunity for me. Psychographics, value conscious, looking for effective no frills supplements, which is good. Many customers prefer pure products without additional ingredients. Ooh, that's something for me to think about, you know, that if I'm going to add additional ingredients, I really need to focus on clarity and purity. And then we've got the second one, and it's kind of done the same thing. So for optimum nutrition, strong appreciation for quality and effectiveness, brand's reputation and quality control measures are frequently praised. So that's interesting. Some complaints about the absence of a scoop in the packaging. Okay, that's interesting. And a few reviews indicate the formula has changed over the years, causing dissatisfaction among long-term users. So same thing, a mix of athletes, fitness enthusiasts, and those new to supplements. A portion of customers includes older adults looking to maintain fitness. Psychographics, customers prioritize high quality, reliable products. And then we've got some recommendations for our product with even the listing images and text. So it didn't do this last time. It's interesting. Every time we kind of run this scenario, it comes up with different things.
Well,
So,
it was supposed to wait on the last one, right? And it didn't wait this time, did it?
oh yeah,
You haven't
it
put
did
in.
last time.
Yeah, it was supposed to wait. So, because the next body of reviews includes in the prompt, now take all 3 of the listing reviews and treat them as a whole when you answer these questions. So it kind of went off on its own. 4 O's trying to be clever.
So I'm just prompting it right now. I'm like, please wait for the next competitor before doing your analysis. I'll provide it now, and then you can continue. And so we're going to go back here, and we're going to go to user input number 2 here, which is attached as a list of competitor 3, Thorns reviews for a more premium version of creatine. So again, not specifically designed for women. So we're actually prompting it. We're telling it, we're giving it some context. We're not just feeding it data. We're telling it what we think about that, and what's important to us in focusing on this product. And then it says, treat these reviews as a combined whole in your analysis. Also, in addition to the sentiment analysis, please include most positive trait as well as the most negative trait of the products based on the reviews. Be as detailed as possible. So I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to once again attach Thorns reviews, and let's go.
And we have question about the prompts. So will they be, you said that you will share the prompts somehow, right?
Yep, we'll do a QR code at the end, and you can download, you can take this whole document with all of our prompts.
Perfect.
We don't want you to have to screenshot the whole thing.
Or screenshot and then put in the processor to get the text.
Yeah. And that's why we wanted to do this live, because inevitably when you guys are using AI, you're going to run into, I mean, some of you are advanced users clearly, because we have had some really great advanced questions. And luckily, you know, Anthony is incredible, so he's able to answer those. But in terms of, you know, when you're running into these stumbling blocks, when you prompt it and it doesn't do the right thing, it's great that we're doing this live, because we can show you like, hey, this is what you can do to, you know, to get around that when that happens to you.
So it's still thinking, analyzing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gave it a bunch. It's like 300 total reviews. So
a lot to do. So just to jump ahead and show you guys what's next. So the next thing is we're going to ask it to provide a list of repeated keywords, repeated phrases, and common themes among the reviews, and be as detailed as possible. And the output here is going to be those keywords, phrases, and themes. Then we're going to ask it to create a customer avatar based on the content of these reviews. And then there were some questions that I had that I gave Anthony at the very beginning. I said, can you include, I want to know certain things about the customer in my targeting. Can you include this in your prompts so that I can learn about that? And so we specifically added that here. Identify goals and values. What are the goals that my business can help them achieve? What are their commitments, and how does that infer in their values? Their demographic information, and list out their challenges and pain points. And then, this was where in our last prompt, this was where I wanted to know purchase motivations. What do customers care about? Price, form, easy to dissolve, taste. These were the things that I wanted to know specifically. Are there any other competitors adding additional ingredients to their powders? And do those customers seem to care? And what can I do to appeal to the higher end customer who pays more for Thorn, but also appeal to the women in that demographic who are currently Thorn customers? I want to take some of those away from them, right? So what will convince them? So that's kind of what we're going to be feeding in next, just to give you guys an idea. And let's see. Oh, wow. It's done here. So you can see it's really done a huge sentiment analysis of the competitor reviews. So it's given average sentiment for each product. It's given the most positive trait. Best bang for the buck I could find, seems to be micronized, dissolved very easily, will buy again. So, it's given an interpretation. Customers appreciate the value for money, ease of dissolution, and the perceived quality of being micronized. And then, isn't it interesting how ChatGPT says it's a perceived quality? Okay. And then the most negative trait. This is my go-to creatine. It's unflavored, so I can put it in my water and it doesn't taste bad, but I use it for my protein takes and it does what it needs to do. Although not overly negative, which I was thinking this isn't negative. So it's interesting that this indicates that some customers find the product unremarkable and merely adequate in its performance. Wow. If I wasn't using AI for this, I would have never pulled that out as a negative trait. Right? I was just reading.
That's super interesting to me too. Like, because our regular GPT-4 analysis didn't pull that out, but instead of looking at all the stuff that said, "Oh, this tastes horrible" or "it doesn't work," it was like, actually, your biggest hurdle is that people might think it's unremarkable. That honestly, that's not something I would have ever guessed.
I know, that's so cool. And yeah, like we were saying, we ran it in regular ChatGPT 4 and it didn't do that. So it's kind of fun to use different versions too, because GPT-4 also pulled out some really great information. So detailed sentiment analysis, we can see, products, highlight the product's good value for money, issues with packaging. We've kind of showed this last time when it jumped ahead for us. And then, it gives some basics for each one. And I love for Thorn, high quality product with a premium feel. Customers value the NSF certification and trust in the brand. And then there's positive feedback on the product's effectiveness for both muscle and cognitive benefits. And then we've got negative, okay, higher price point with some customers feel it's too expensive. Complaints about potential side effects such as gas or stomach discomfort. So that could be something I could focus on, but I'm sure ChatGPT is going to tell me what I should focus on. So highlight my unique selling points, emphasize additional ingredients beneficial for women, such as specific vitamins or amino acids, professional lifestyle images, clear, informative graphics, include graphics detailing supplement facts, usage instructions, all of that. Then it goes into listing text, what I should be doing, which is really, really great. And so isn't it great that we didn't continue with our prompts before, and we've now added all this additional information? Because as we continue to conversate with GPT now, and it has all this extra context, it gives us much more accurate and informative feedback as compared to if we just continued from our first prompts that we did. So we've got that. Now we're going to move into the next one that we kind of went over here. We've got now provide a list of repeated keywords and phrases. Let's see what those are.
And you were using completely fresh chat. You don't suggest to use, one of the pre-programmed GPTs, these custom GPTs, where you can select by, I don't know, topic. Probably there is like Amazon listings GPT helper or something. Would you suggest to run such?
Well, you wouldn't want to use a custom GPT that isn't trained to do this specifically, right? So if you could now train, I've done training before. I've presented on how to build custom GPTs. And the big thing about it is if you're constantly running the same process over and over, you're always having the same conversation. You either want to automate it, and Anthony's going to talk about that towards the end, how you could automate this whole process. Or you want to build a custom GPT. So I've done that with my Amazon listings, for example. When I write Amazon listings, I use the same prompts and the same inputs. I have them saved in a document every single time. So instead of opening a new conversation with ChatGPT every single time, I just trained a custom GPT and it knows what inputs to ask me for. And I've told it stick exactly to this formatting and this information that I'm giving you. So you can train your own GPT. I wouldn't recommend using someone else's unless you know how it's trained. And you can ask it. If you're using someone else's, you can say, how are you trained? And it will kind of tell you about that. And what are your, you can ask any custom GPT questions about it. And it will answer so that you can understand how to better use it.
Because I'm sure in the database there are these maybe Amazon listing or something.
Well, there was an
Okay.
error generating the response, and I'm sure Anthony, while it's doing this, maybe you can talk a little bit about that as well.
Or
About
we
what?
can answer questions also.
Sure, go
Yeah.
ahead.
We can do that too.
So there is a number buckets asking, can the Google Docs be linked to us? Probably means to this kind of prompt. I don't know.
Yes, we're gonna make sure that everybody has the prompts.
Google, but I think the person is maybe asking if they can maybe chat with ChatGPT in the Google Docs. Maybe this is how I understood. Number, if you can clarify your question, what you mean about Google Docs integration. And Domantas, you've added a lot of context for the ChatGPT. It has a limit of how much context it can maintain. Did all of it actually fit?
Yes, because GPT-4o's context window is 128,000 tokens, which is a lot, a tremendous amount. And I know that there is some debate out there about like how well AI can actually perform in long context. But in my experience, it is really, really good within probably a 30 to 40,000 token context, and we haven't even scratched the surface of that. All of this fits because you got to think the listing and even the images, like everything put together, is still maybe a couple thousand tokens, and we only did 3 of them, right? So we are so within. Like you'd have to have a really long conversation about this before it started forgetting stuff.
All right.
So you can see it's now done its thing here, and the keywords, the repeated keywords and phrases, they are helpful. You know, you creatine product, water, powder, mixes, price, effective, value, quality, easy. That's an interesting keyword. And then repeated phrases. And this is kind of not super helpful, but it's interesting. Common themes. So we've got effectiveness, mixability, value for money, quality, ease of use, and it's given some context for each of that, which is really, really helpful. And then it's summarized it. Most positive trait, value for money, ease of dissolution, most negative trait, adequacy, and side effects. So some products find the products merely adequate. I would love, you know, if we were continuing this discussion with ChatGPT, I would probably ask it like, you know, well, what could I do to make it not merely adequate, right? Like ask it for kind of some context there and to, you know, challenge it in that way. So prompt number 4 here, we're going to ask it for that customer avatar. Let's go ahead and put that in there. So we're asking to create a customer avatar based on the content of these reviews, identifying their goals and values. So we'll see what it comes up with. And then
this is what we were talking about, what I was mentioning earlier when we were talking about like the little things that people mention in their reviews, right? So now we're asking, so just for clarification, so everybody is aware of like kind of how this whole thing works, right? We have this context, and GPT has this memory of all of that context, and all we're doing is essentially asking it to retrieve pieces of that and then analyze it and then give you know that analysis to us. So in this instance we said, hey, specifically go back and see like what demographic information, if there is any, that might have seeped out through these 300 reviews that you have. And so it'll go back and it'll look at all the reviews and it'll see, did anybody mention, you know, that they gave this to a parent or their child, so they could categorize it as, you know, living with parents or with their kids. Did they mention, you know, how much they spent on it, if there's any indication of what they do for a living, et cetera, et cetera. And then once it compiles all that, it mostly it guesses, but if there is concrete information in those reviews, which this particular prompt will work a little bit better if you use a larger body of reviews. Right now we only use 300, but if you want to give it 1,000 or 2,000, it may very well get more demographic information. But for illustrative purposes, this is a good place to start.
And so we have the feedback here, you know, and I kind of scrolled through that as Anthony was talking. And then finally, you know, we've got that summary of fitness focused Fiona. It gives her age, it gives what she cares about. And then we've asked it to list the following. And these were the things I specifically wanted to know. So this was really helpful for me. Customers are primarily motivated by the effectiveness of creatine in enhancing its muscle growth, strength, and endurance. Positive reviews frequently mention noticeable improvements in workout performance and recovery times. Quality and purity are important. Mixability is important. Brand trust is important. The value for the money, the convenience, like these, it's basically giving me a breakdown of everything, right? Something that we did last time, so suggestions for product improvement. It tells me, you know, what should I add to the product because what do customers care about? You know, maintaining high quality, improve the mixability. Like I can focus on that and imagine having that, you know, the number one most mixable creatine on the market, like right on your packaging. You know, we know what people care about. And so if we want to steal that market share, you know, we can do that. And so you could take this a step further now and you could prompt, and this is what I would do. I would say, okay, help me think of a brand name for my product. Help me think of a logo, you know, help me even design a mock-up of the product. And Anthony and I actually did this in our other ChatGPT, and it came up with a pretty cool thing. Let me see if I can find it, but you can see, you know, address the pain points. It's really, really awesome. So just so that we can kind of continue through this, I'll see if I can find that image, but we're going to continue here with a summary of what we've done. So, you know, what is really, really important is sentiment, right? This is what we've gone over: sentiment, phrases and themes, demographics, buyer motivations, differentiations, listing images, and text, right? What do we have to do to launch a product that's even better based on all of this information? And you guys see, you know, you can change up these prompts any way you would like. But this is a really, really great way for you to launch products that are way better than your competition and steal that market share. So Anthony, take it away with how to automate.
Sure. So it's real simple. I didn't put a whole lot in here because obviously, like, teaching how to build a workflow is going to be a lot of information. But how to automate, I just have 2 slides here. Choose a no-code platform, right? Because no-code platforms are designed for non-developers. Most of them are drag and drop or a visual kind of connection thing. Essentially, all it is a platform where it accesses your accounts via API on various other platforms and then connects them so that it can take an action, take an action, take an action, take an action. And you can do this on, my favorite platform is make.com. You can also use Zapier. NA10 is one I've recently started using. And then essentially you connect your data input to AI. So you find a way, a pipeline to get the data in, if that's from like a Google Sheet or directly from listings, because there are APIs that will scrape Amazon listings and pull the data back. Just find a pipeline for that data, bring it in, give it to AI with your prompt that says, hey, this is what I want you to do to the data. This is called data transformation. I want you to transform this data and then give me this output, and then set it up so that you can receive that output. Will you go to the next slide? And this is just like illustration. That top image is from NA10, right? You see all of those little boxes that are connected to each other. That is a workflow. All that is, you know, API call, you know, data input, right? That's actually a form in that one. There's a form where you would like upload a file, for example. It takes that data input into a service, grabs some more data into another service. That one actually is specifically using AWS products to gather more data about your listings, give it to AI, and then present it in a document. That bottom one is make.com. That's the same thing. That's a form input where you upload a file. That next module takes that file and essentially digitizes it so you can use it in other modules. And then you see there, all of those are GPT modules where we just ask GPT a question. This is what I want you to do with this data. Now this is what I want you to do with this data. Exactly what we did in the chat interface. but you can automate it through these platforms.
And the form that you'd be filling out would be basically all the inputs that we used, right? So you'd create a form that says, provide this competitor's data, provide this one, So you would basically create a form where you fill out the inputs for every step along the way, and then or somebody on your team fills it out, right? And then once that form is filled out, then this automation begins, and it's automatically doing the analysis based on that instead of you going into ChatGPT every time and copying and pasting into a new conversation.
Correct. Yeah, I remember we talked about form, like we did a presentation a while ago, and that was when I introduced the concept of using the forms. The forms is really
it's so
convenient,
cool,
right? Because then you can just upload so basically like you would create a form, competitor 1, 2, 3, and then upload, and then reviews, upload, and then all of that is then digitized, and that way you can feed it out in chunks to the AI along the line, right? Here's your GPT, here's some reviews, and here's some other information, and then the end will be like maybe a Google Doc with all of the information, your whole analysis, and you can shape it however you want. It's really powerful stuff.
Yeah. So here is the QR code to get our prompts, the prompts that we used here, and then our information. If you guys want to reach out for help with anything, Anthony is amazing, can help you with automations. I can help you with anything in your e-commerce business, including, how to build custom GPTs, how to use AI in your business. So you guys can always reach out about that, but you can scan that QR code. And real quick, well, I've got this up, I'm going to drag over and show you in our other chat when Anthony and I did the dry run, we actually asked it to give us the brand name, logo design, and, an actual product description, everything. We actually asked it to essentially make this product for us. And in the end, we asked it to create a mock-up of the packaging, and it did a really good job. It incorporated all of that data that it gave us, all of the, the colors, everything like that. It even showed like vitamin B12 on the front, gave us an idea of what this would look like. So this is another way that you can get a visualization along the way. You can always ask ChatGPT for a visualization, whether it's a chart of your reviews, whether it's, whatever you need, mock up my logo, mock up my web page, my landing page for this product, and you can ask it to be a certain persona when it does that. It's a really incredible thing.
Cool, amazing. And Arun is commenting on that N8N workflow. He says it's crazy. Are you hosting a local N8N? I don't think it works. Yeah, it's local?
Yes, I actually started on their cloud, and it was not worth the money to me, because when you submit customer support requests, they send you to the forum that they send people who are on local anyway. So it's like, if you're not giving me extra support, why would I pay $20 a month? So then I used a different cloud instance, but it was limited because it was a template. It wouldn't let me use community nodes, and then I just put it on my computer at home, and now I have access to all the community nodes, and it's really cool.
Cool. All right, so we have a few more questions, but before we go to the questions, I wanted to mention that this session is part of the SellerFest Online celebration, which we're doing to celebrate our 20,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. And another piece of content we created package is a VAP package, which you can get if you follow the link sellerfestonline/VAP. In this package, all the speakers from the SellerFest Online event provided additional video with extra content, which will not be published on YouTube. So it's everything just for this package. So if you are willing to upgrade, you will find the link below in the description. I wanted to ask what information or what sessions Amy and Anthony shared in their sessions. So maybe Anthony, you can share. I will open up
In the VIP,
Yes, in VAP.
I shared how to build that NA10 workflow
Okay.
that I glimpsed to, the one that Arun was asking about. I
Yeah.
literally step by step how to build that is what I
Okay.
shared.
So, Ron, if you're interested to go in details with N8N, yeah, check this out. And Amy, what was your session about?
So a lot of people, I'm a TikTok Shop partner, and a lot of people really want to sell on TikTok Shop, but they're located outside of the US and they're wondering what can I do? How can I get on TikTok Shop and start selling in the US, even though I'm outside of the US? So I showed a bunch of opportunities for TikTok Shop. And not only how, what the benefits are of selling on TikTok Shop, and kind of talked about that, but I also explained what non-US sellers can do to get their products on TikTok Shop.
Cool. Thank you very much. And yeah, the link you will find below in the description. And now we can move on to the questions. And of course, if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel below. And now let me get the first question. Okay. Okay. Arun is referring to something we talked in the presentation. This gives a great insight. Do you have a path to go from customer feature needs to a formula that you can give your manufacturer to make the special creatine mix?
Yeah, so I actually do this all the time. I utilize ChatGPT for product development. And what I do, so of course, I'm going to grab these insights from this competitive analysis that we just did, but I'm also going to grab insights from other market research that I've done that is specific to my customer avatar. And I'm going to feed all of that into ChatGPT and ask it for a formulation. I've actually already done that. I'm not going to share it here because it's proprietary to me and what I'm about to be launching next year. But absolutely, you just, the same way that we did this here today, you're grabbing that information, that market research data, that information about how other products are formulated, information about mixability, and you can even ask. You can ask the AI platform that you're using, hey, what factors contribute to mixability in this type of product? And, you can ask it to act as a formulary, or a chemist, and have it kind of help you understand that. And then you can bring those ideas to your manufacturer and work with them to get the desired results. And it's going to give you way better results than we used to have back in the day when we would just be like, okay, go to that manufacturer and have to figure all of that out. It gets you much further faster, and you can create a visual as well.
Cool, nice. Okay, Zwap is asking, so basically if I train ChatGPT by only continuing the questions upon the one topic in one workspace. So yeah.
Yes. The essentially what you're doing is creating a context in one instance, and that is how I don't like to use the word train because that's not actually how it works. But yes, you're essentially providing all the context in that one instance. If you want to carry context into further instances, like Amy had suggested, you can create your own custom GPT that will then pull from documents that it has access to. But in this instance, all the context is just in that one chat instance. So in order to continue that conversation, it's almost like that's an example of an agent. You're having a conversation with an agent. Every new instance is a different agent. So you would continue it in that one chat instance.
Okay. Another question from Arun. In the chat interface, you can copy and paste images. When you are sending through API, do you download it from the Amazon image link and pass it as an image, or do you just pass the image link?
Yeah, you have to download it. It depends on the platform you're using, but for the most part, like Make or NA10, you would upload you would take the image link, You would upload it into the platform so it becomes buffer, it becomes base 64. And then you would take that data and you would give it to GPT-4V because OpenAI specifically has an endpoint for looking at images, but it actually needs the image, not just the link.
Cool. Doc Sar says priceless, I think, for the Google Doc you shared. Zwap says thanks for the answer. Bianca was saying thank you for previous answer. I have another question about competitors. Is it possible to use AI to analyze competitor keywords and SEO strategies?
Absolutely. You can use the kind of the same workflow that we did today. You saw we uploaded spreadsheets with reviews. You can do the same thing. You give it the data and ask it to perform an analysis. We see that all the time with people using it for PPC, right? They're downloading their PPC spreadsheets and then uploading those and saying, analyze this, tell me what I should, raise bids on, lower bids on. You're just giving it the context. And so you can use it in all sorts of instances. And Anthony and I would recommend that if you're constantly starting a new conversation that have the same chat with the same input, with just different inputs, then you either train a GPT or automate it, because that'll save you additional time.
The additional information that I would give to that is if we're talking about SEO, I would probably have this conversation with Gemini, only because I trust that Google understands SEO more than ChatGPT does. So I would first have that conversation with a completely different language model. And then with regard to effective analysis, I don't recommend just taking a file and saying, analyze this. Really what you want to do is kind of get very specific. So whatever methods you're using to kind of track SEO components for competitors, right? Like their current ranking status. Maybe if you've been tracking them, you can see like how much they've moved. The more data, the better, but the more specific data in one lane, you can give Gemini and say, okay, this is the purpose. This is what I'm trying to do, right? I want to rank for this keyword. My competitors are ranking for this keyword. They've been ranking for it for quite some time now. Here's their homepage information. Can you analyze the tag structure, the metadata, as well as the content, and give me some ideas on how I might be able to compete? And then it knows specifically with regard to ranking for this keyword, what to look for, and it should give you some really good advice. Because again, Gemini has access to everything Google knows about SEO.
Yeah, so check out, if you have Google account, I think you will get it for free. And yeah, I think it has also a paid version, right?
So, I heard about this paid version, but I haven't seen any information. Like, I don't know if they abandoned it. I just use it through the API. So if you actually go to openrouter.com, OpenRouter gives you access to like every language model. And you don't even have to set up like a whole make workflow. You can go to Postman. I don't know if anybody is unaware, Postman is just a really simple interface where you can make API calls. And you can literally do all of this through like the user interface in Postman. And you can make API calls to everything. And they have language models I've never even heard of before. Some of them are fine-tuned for different things. Like, play around with those. You might find one that better suits your needs.
All right, yeah. Open Router, I'm not sure if it's correct. If it's .com, I think it's not .com.
Oh, it might not be, sorry. OpenRouter
.ai, actually.
Yeah, they changed it. I don't think that's what it used to be.
Because .com doesn't lead me to where I need.
Sorry about that. OpenRouter.ai.
Yeah.
We corrected it.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's it. I think that's great. Arun says, thanks so much, guys. Extremely enlightening session. Great insights on functionalities. And one more time, please go through, what do you do and how do you help Amazon sellers? So maybe Amy, start first. I will show you our website to everyone.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Amy Weiss from Amazing at Home, and we do e-commerce consulting. We have courses and we host events around the world. Our next event is our China trip, and we are hosting a China trip to the Canton Fair, so you can check out that. And then we also have, a Halloween party coming up in during Amazon Unboxed in Austin, Texas. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. That's October 14th. But you can visit our website and check out any of our events that we have going on. Check out our course library or book a consultation if you need help.
Amazing at home.com. And Anthony, what about you?
So I build automation workflows specifically for Amazon sellers. I actually have a bundle of pre-made templates for that deal with Amazon. It calls on Amazon on APIs that scrape Amazon data, and it's prompted so that the AI can manipulate that data some. Also, I have a premium Discord called the Bot of the Month Club. Benefit to the Bot of the Month Club is that you get one of these bots, one of these pre-made templates every month, but also in the Discord, any help that you need to set stuff up and make in NA10. The community is there to help. I'm there to help, and we can build great things through that. So that's I guess specifically how I would help Amazon sellers.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you here. Bye bye, Amy and Anthony.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. And now I would like to invite you to watch other video where we talk about how you can use ChatGPT to improve your Amazon PPC campaigns. So check this out. It's another video on our YouTube channel.